Welcome back, and in the ongoing battle to find the best cryptocurrency out there, we are going to be exploring Cardano versus Internet Computer Protocol in today's video. Which is a better investment? Is one better than the other? And we're going to kind of go through some of the technology, some of the metrics, some of the analytics. I'm going to give you guys my opinions on these two cryptocurrencies, which are both kind of teetering much lower than their all-time record highs, and kind of understanding in 2025, in this bull run, 2026, where are the prices going? Is one of these two cryptos a better investment than the other? Let's get right into it. And we're going to be going through all of the data, all of the metrics on both Cardano and Internet Computer Protocol. Let me know what you guys think about these cryptos down below. Obviously, remove the maximalism. That's a joke, because maximalists, they can't. They're just a maximalist. But, I want to go into this video with an open mind and understand how these different networks are performing now that we are in 2025 in the bull run, understanding that the narratives are already in play for this kind of Bitcoin halving cycle. And is it too late to invest at this point in the cycle? Is it not too late? Let's kind of go into all of this right now. Don't forget to give the video a free thumbs up. Also, hit the subscribe button if you want to help support the channel. Click the join button down below, or you can leave a super chat down below in the comments of this video. Let's get right into it. We're going to start right here with Internet Computer and Cardano dashboards. Now, as you guys can see, these dashboards look very different, but in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the metrics, and we will zero in to make this a little bit more understandable. And a lot of this is going to be a little bit dumbed down so that everybody can understand what the hell is going on in these two ecosystems, because at the end of the day, the ecosystems are similar in some ways and very different in other ways. And it can get very confusing to especially newer investors who are not fully aware or haven't been following. Guys, I've been following Cardano effectively since it launched in 2017, started this channel in 2018. Internet Computer started following when it launched, which was a quite the failed launch. We're not going to get into that in today's video, but we've been following both of these cryptos effectively since this channel began and since these cryptos began. And one, Internet Computer, is a generation after Cardano, right? They weren't both released at the same time. Internet Computer launched in 2021 after the 2020 Bitcoin halving, and Cardano launched in 2017, 1 year after the 2016 halving. And so first we have to kind of understand the general purpose of these chains, right? Internet Computer is more of a compute platform. Think of it, what Dominic or Dfinity, that's the organization that is building Internet Computer, Dfinity, their founder is Dominic, and he basically has called Internet Computer the world computer, right? Right now, a lot of people use cloud services, Amazon Cloud or Google Cloud or whatever. Things are going to be different in the future, and really these centralized ecosystems for running high-powered compute, especially AI, we're probably going to see a shift to a little bit of decentralized AI compute and also centralized AI compute. And in the decentralized AI compute world, or high performance computing, this is where Internet Computer steps in, right? They are a compute platform. They can run smart contracts. They do have some type of bridges to other ecosystems called chain fusion technology. It uses chain key cryptography to basically allow Internet Computer to write on the Bitcoin blockchain and vice versa. I still don't consider this like a native bridge that we use in DeFi for Ethereum and Avalanche and Solana and all these other ecosystems. And the same thing kind of goes for Cardano. Let's kind of break it down for Cardano. Cardano started in 2017, really just as a coin, and then it kind of morphed into what Charles used to describe as trying to achieve the world financial operating system. And now it's changed again to a whole slew of different things. They're going to be the AI blockchain. They're going to be the interconnected blockchain. They're going to be the Ripple side chain and all this other stuff. But as I've explained in some of my videos, Cardano seems to be chasing narratives versus what you see with Internet Computer. They're like, no, we are the AI compute platform. We do high power compute. We do kind of like world compute, like things are going to be able to be computed from the cloud, right? People think about cloud and they're like, well, what is the cloud? Eventually, there will be decentralized type of clouds for financial transactions, global type of financial transactions, and all of that. And Internet Computer is kind of aligning directly in there, even though this may not be on the narrative cycle right now when I'm recording this video, or even when you're watching this video. That is what Internet Computer is doing, right? They really want to target this kind of world computer, cloud storage, cloud compute, AI and high performance, decentralized capabilities. This is what they're going after. And obviously, Internet Computer can still do financial transactions and a lot of the other things that Cardano is trying to achieve, that Ethereum's trying to achieve, and Solana's trying to achieve, but with a focus on this kind of niche category, where Cardano is more of just a financial processing type of transaction processor. And as we're going to be going through in some of the data, what we can see here is that Internet Computer is running on a very, very rapid, I think, fourth generation blockchain throughput. You can see that the blocks are being produced at a very rapid pace over here on the dashboard. And you can see that the average transactions per second, I think this is in the last 24 hours, is about 4,400 or 4,500 transactions per second throughput. Now, this is very in line with many other third and fourth generation cryptos like Solana, where Cardano is a generation 2 ecosystem, and it is much slower, similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum. These just are older networks, and they were going for transaction throughput. I remember back in 2017, even Tron's founder, Justin Sun, said they were going to do 1 million transactions per second on Tron, and they're still not doing that. But we can see here on Cardano's own dashboard, the transactions per second is extremely low. Now, the Cardano ecosystem, you can see here, the actual transactions per second is basically 1 over the last 7 days, 1 transactions per second, versus Internet Computers, which is 45 or 4,600 transactions per second. Now, like I was just saying, the Cardano ecosystem and community will say, well, Cryptoviser. That's because the actual transactions per second doesn't truly represent what kind of transactions are being processed, because in one transaction on Cardano, there's 1,000 other transactions that are being processed. I'm like, well, that's not the metric that the rest of the crypto ecosystem and blockchain ecosystem uses. So that's not what we're going to be using. We're going to be using what everybody else is using to metric the transactions per second. And by the way, a lot of those transactions in the transaction are NFT trading. These are non-transactions, right? This NFT trading is just wash trading. There's nobody actually doing this, or this very small number of people. It's not like nations are trading NFTs. So to even include those transactions, like, oh, I'm going to have to go dig deeper to go find those other transactions and see how many, and then go calculate it on my own instead of just calculating the metric like every other blockchain, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's a little bit extra for what I want to do when I'm analyzing these ecosystems. But I also would not consider NFT trading actual transaction volume, right? Because this is not going to achieve any type of global operating system, let alone a global operating financial system, if it's only transacting in NFTs. Moving right along, so that's the transaction throughput. Big difference. 1 transaction per second versus 4,500 transactions per second. Now, you can say, well, maybe this is just because Internet Computer is a newer chain, and maybe that's fair. But there's other metrics that we want to look at, and one of those is daily transaction count. Now, if we look at Cardano's daily transaction count, and by the way, if you're up to this point in the video, don't forget to give the video a free thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to give you guys unbiased opinions on what my thoughts and opinions are on the market. You can disagree with it. People may not like my opinions or analysis, but it is what it is. I mean, this is just my analysis based on my investing style, strategy, and thesis. You can definitely have a different one. That's fine. But, the way that these networks operate and the way that the big money is looking at where they want to invest, I'm trying to analyze what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And I believe that they're looking at this, and they're looking at research and data about the transactions, about the network throughput, about the capabilities of these networks. And they're not, the researchers for these big financial firms, they're not on Twitter looking at the comments from the Cardano community saying, but Cryptoviser, there's extra transactions. Like, they're not doing that, right? And so they're looking at the data straight up from what it is. And so daily transaction counts on Cardano, what you can see is where we are today in April of 2025. This is maybe a little small. I'm trying to make it a little larger for you guys. So yeah, you can see here in April, what we're seeing is about 36,000 transactions a day, 47,000 transactions a day, 30, 20. So, but this is the recent dip also in the market in April and March and February. If we go back a little bit, you can see that basically the transactions per second throughout 2024, or at least the second half of 2024, looked to be above 30,000 and even went into 100,000 transactions per day during the peak after the election. So we'll say anywhere from 30,000 to 100,000 transactions per day. Throughput on Cardano. Now, if we look at ICP transactions, on the other hand, and we pull up the same 1-year chart, this shows you ICP volume and also ICP transactions. Where we are today in April, we are basically at 30,000 transactions for the day. And if we scroll it back to the November timeframe, when we had the after election pump in the markets, we were at about 40,000 transactions per day. So this is significantly less transactions occurring on internet computer versus Cardano. And so you could say that the actual transaction throughput numbers that we just went through, the transactions per second, don't actually mean anything, because this is the theoretical throughput for internet computer. This is not the technical actual throughput of transactions, because again, they're saying this is 4,500 transactions per second. So this would be multiple millions of transactions per day. And what we're seeing on internet computer, based on their own metrics, is 30 to 40,000 transactions per day, which is very low. And so obviously you can see that Cardano is being used more from a transaction standpoint, from an actual transaction standpoint. Now, again, a lot of those may actually be NFT trading. So how much of that are you going to strip out? 100,000 transactions? I mean, that would put Cardano in line with where ICP transactions are. And we know ICP is not transacting NFTs. So listen, that's the data. That's the data. ICP has significantly less transactions by a factor of basically 20 to 25% total of the transactions that Cardano has on a daily basis on average. And so Cardano wins in that metric. But that's not the only metric we want to look at. We also want to look at volumes, right? Because volume shows interest, or at least financial interest, and therefore, finance is where the money's at, and that's what we're looking at on this channel and analyzing. So if we pull up the 1-year chart, I have both these charts up. Internet Computers right here, the 1-year chart, and Cardano's right here. So you can see that we're really going to kind of focus in on the before the election and also after the election, because after the election, we know there was a lot of excitement and anticipation, but we want to really know what the baseline is as well. So you can see here on Cardano, before the election, before the quote Trump pump, we had basically, in the $1 to $2 billion volume range. I think this is in dollars, not in ADA. So yeah, $1 to $2 billion a day. And then after the election, after the Trump pump, this went up really substantially, from 1.25 all the way up to 7, 15, 18, 11. So we'll just say in the 5 billion range. Okay. Some of it was a little bit above, or very above 5 billion, but for comparison standpoint, I don't think it really matters, because you're going from 1 billion to 5 billion. That's a 4x, right? And obviously we did more than a 4x on most of the months, but we've now had a kind of correction in the market. So we have to kind of keep that in mind. Now, if we look at Internet Computer shows a different kind of chart, you see that there was a lot of volume at around April of 2024. It kind of dropped off into the middle of the year and end of the year, and then obviously we had the Trump pump again after the election from about $286 million all the way up to $2 billion. So I want you guys to understand this. Internet computers volume, in terms of trading volume, uh, is basically in the peak, right, at the top of the market in 2024 was where Cardano's baseline is, right? You can see the top of this market in volume was in December 2024, $1.91 billion. We'll just call it $2 billion. And Cardano's baseline before the election was basically $1 to $2 billion a day. And so we can see Cardano's volume is significantly more. Now, this could be due to many different reasons. One, it's just the interest is there on Cardano versus Internet Computer. We could also understand and analyze this to indicate that the placement in the in the crypto markets. By the way, I'm drinking black coffee today. Let me know what you guys are drinking down below in the comments. And while you're down there, don't forget to give the video a free thumbs up. It really does let me know you guys enjoy this content. And whether you agree or disagree, we're all in this together, right? Because we should be cheering each other on when the other coins go higher or lower or whatever, right? Anyway, so when we see Cardano, Cardano is and has been a top 10 cryptocurrency for pretty much its entire existence. This is a very impressive feat to keep in mind, right? While personally, I was a Cardano bull and I'm kind of neutral on the coin right now, but it is very impressive that Cardano has been able to maintain top 10. It's been out of the top 10 maybe once or twice for like a few days or a few weeks, but if you really remove the stable coins here, Tether and USDC, it's in the top 10 literally its entire existence, never exiting the top 10 at all. And this is through multiple cycles. This is through a lot of FUD campaigns, a lot of drama, a lot of missed deadlines, a lot of technology that just wasn't keeping up, right? I mean, this is where the where Cardano is, right? But it's maintained a top 10 position. This is a huge feat. This is a huge feat, especially when we know during the previous cycle, FTX had perpetual futures contracts on Cardano for the purpose of suppressing the price and dropping the price. We saw them do this with Internet Computer. We'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes, but Cardano was able to maintain this position even though they literally had the largest trading organization on the planet at the time, FTX, trading against it, right? And it worked for most of the other coins, right? Litecoin didn't achieve its all-time record high. Internet Computer, when it launched, it went from $800 down to $40, right? And a lot of that was manipulation in the markets, in my view. So knowing that FTX was successful with other coins suppressing their price and dropping the price, and understanding they were not successful with Cardano, or the Cardano, this is also what really bothers me. I was holding a large portion of my portfolio in Cardano during the previous cycle. And if, I always think if FTX was not around, right, and they were not manipulating the markets, how high would Cardano have gone? Because I don't believe $3.10 would have been the all-time record high. I really, really don't. Because if FTX didn't exist and they weren't around manipulating the markets, number one, we would not have had the crash. Number two, we wouldn't have had massive fund flow to coins like Solana, which was an FTX coin, the FTT token, which was an FTX coin, the Terra Luna coin, which was FTX connected, the Terra USD stablecoin, which was FTX connected. And really, from a Cardano perspective, based on my videos I was following Cardano since it launched. And my videos in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, they were very bullish Cardano. And we were following this network very closely. And we were looking at all the metrics, looking amazing, especially compared to some of the other networks. But meanwhile, the price was, while it was going up, and it did do a 100x. I don't want to like take any of that away, and for people to think like Cardano did not perform, it did. It went from 3 cents in the bear market last time, right there, 3 cents to $3.10, which is a 100x from 2020 to 2021, just 1 year. You can see that right here. It was actually more than 100x because the low was like 2.5 cents. So we went from 2.5 cents to $3.10. It's more than a 100x. So I'm not really complaining about that, but I also think about if FTX wasn't around, Cardano would have achieved even more greatness, right? And I think that they permanently affected Cardano's ability to increase the value. You also have to remember, when you're in the top 10, it's much harder to like jump places. But anyway, Cardano is and has been in the top 10. This is a huge feat, and congratulations. Now, Internet Computer, on the other hand, much different story. While Internet Computer has maintained basically a top 50 position, the performance from a price perspective has been, I don't even know how to describe it, abysmal, atrocious, heartbreaking, anxiety-ridden. I mean, we can go on and on. But let me break down my opinion on where the price action is and is going and what's kind of going on here. And by the way, we have other metrics we're going to be talking about. I just kind of went on this tangent about the price, and I said, you know what, we'll just keep it going. But there's a lot of other metrics I want to go over with you so that we can compare Internet Computer Protocol and Cardano. But first, make sure you guys are subscribed, and also give the video a free thumbs up. And if you are enjoying these videos, click the join button to learn more about becoming a channel member right here on YouTube, or use the super chats down below in the comments of this video. Appreciate all the support, all of the thumbs up. Let's continue on. So when we're looking at Internet Computer price action, it's very interesting. Now, I don't want you guys to think that Internet Computer hasn't performed. It has. Even just in the last one and a half years, it's performed extremely well. And if you guys have been watching my videos, we've been following this very closely and very, I think, accurately. So basically, at the launch of Internet Computer, again, there was massive trading against the coin. We found out a lot of this was due to FTX. I thought it was insiders dumping when this happened in 2021. You could see we went from $400 all the way down to like basically the market low was $8. I did not realize at the time that there was manipulation going on by FTX. I believed that the insiders at Dfinity were dumping, and that turned out to be false, right? Maybe they were dumping some of their coins, but that wasn't the reason for the crash. The crash was, the reason is Coinbase listed it. A lot of exchanges listed Internet Computer when it first launched, except for FTX. What did FTX do? And by the way, I thought FTX was loving Internet Computer, but no, they were trading against it. They had perpetual futures contracts for ICP, which is basically trading ICP without touching the coin itself. So your risk is somewhat limited. And they were trading in the derivative markets against ICP and brought it down substantially. Now we're beyond that now, but it's still people still have a sour taste in their mouth about that, because at the time we did believe, people in general believed that it was insiders dumping their coins, and that's also always not a good thing, right? But just look here, in December of 2022, we hit the low, and from the low over here all the way up to February 2023, just 3 months later, it basically did a 90% increase. So basically doubled in price. I have this on percentages right now, not on actual, maybe we just switch it to the amounts, because I was basically comparing the pricing with Cardano. And we're going to do that in just a few minutes here. But then in 2023, in September, we identified on this channel this bottom ranging, chart pattern that appeared to be kind of like a bottom being formed. Now remember, nothing after this point we saw on the charts. I only saw up to here. And we went down to basically $2.90 in September of 2023 on Internet Computer. And I was like, you know what? I think this is a good buy time. And sure enough, it was. We went from September 2023, $2.90, we'll just say $3 to keep it even, all the way up to $20 just for about 6 months later in March. $20 from $3. So that's basically six and a half, almost 7x, 700% gain in just a few months. Since then, obviously, we've basically given back all the gains in the coin. And this is where I say it is important that you take profits when you are in profit, because just as much as you can go up very, very quick, you can also come down, and it's a slow bleed and a slow drain. Most people on the way down, they're like, oh, I'm just going to buy the dip. I'm going to buy the dip. I'm going to buy the dip. I'm going to buy the dip. And they keep buying the dip. And then we're basically back at 2023 prices. But yeah, the price has performed. I don't want you guys to think because we went from $800 down to $8 during the bull market in 2021 that the coin is done. The coin is still performing. And when I'm looking at the technology around Internet Computer from a price perspective, AI is what Internet Computer is capable of doing and really what they're looking to achieve. And this is growing. This is a growing ecosystem, AI, right? And so to think that AI is growing and AI is going to need more compute power, and the fact that Internet Computer is really the only major crypto blockchain that is going for this kind of category to do high powered compute and AI processing from a decentralized cloud type of network. This is really, really smart. And I think that they could potentially even get contracts with the big major players if they're able to prove and achieve this kind of AI dominance, which they already technically have. And really, Internet Computer is the only blockchain currently that is running AI compute capabilities on the chain right now. I have several videos from 2024 and even I think 2025. We may do a redo of that, kind of exploring the Dfinity Foundation demoing live on-chain AI processing. And this is huge, huge, huge for Internet Computer. Now, again, Cardano can't really achieve this, at least currently. This doesn't seem to be a real big focus for Cardano. Again, Cardano, when we're comparing these two blockchains, it seems that Internet Computer has their niche, has their category that they're really kind of driving for, right? Think about Ripple. Ripple is going for cross-border payments. When you think about Ethereum, Ethereum is trying to dominate DeFi. When you think about Solana, Solana is trying to do everything Ethereum can do, but better and faster and cheaper. Now, whether they're going to achieve this, that's a whole different story, but this is the things that they're going for. And like I said, Cardano was going for financial operating system of the world, but now they're kind of deviating and saying they're going to do some other things. Well, what is the category that Cardano can dominate and is dominating and will dominate? I mean, it could be multiple different categories, but you can't be good at everything when there's others that are very good at one or two things. You have to kind of pick a category or pick a few categories and then just go in for it. And Cardano has the capabilities of doing that. I don't know what it is personally. But anyway, moving right along, and again, we're going to go back to the price action in a minute. But again, right now, Cardano's 2 for 3 winning, right? Just on the categories we're talking about. But Cardano does have more volume, right, from a dollar perspective. Like I said, this could be because of their placement. Cardano does technically have more transactions, although Internet Computer has more transaction throughput at a faster speed. But then there's other categories of what else you can do with the coin, what else you can do on the network that will help you make money. Now, one of those things that you can make money doing is staking your coins or utilizing your coins to help network processing or network security. Now, when we look at Cardano, Cardano has pretty much straightforward staking. Basically, you have your coins in a wallet, and then you can stake to what's called a stake pool or a staking node. That's basically it. In your wallet, you tell the wallet, hey, I want to stake my coins to, Cryptoviser's staking pool. And then if my staking pool, which I don't have, so let's be clear about that, but let's say the Cryptoviser staking pool earns a block or produces a block, they earn rewards, get distributed amongst the reward holders. Now, again, we've been following Cardano for quite a while, so let's go over some of these metrics. Currently, when I'm recording this in April 2025, you can see that 58% of the entire circulating supply of Cardano right now is 37 billion, which has inflated by about 4 billion coins since the last cycle, but we're not going to really get into inflation on this video. But 58% is staked. Now, this is also a major reduction since even just last year, where we were in the 60% range. Every single percentage drop in staking means that means 370 million coins are leaving staking. So 4% would be 1.2 billion coins have exited staking. Now, what are those coins exiting staking for? Maybe they're going into smart contracts, maybe they're going into DeFi, maybe they're going to payments and processing, or maybe they're being sold. Who knows? But it is a metric to keep an eye on. And then we also have to understand, when you stake your coins, how much are you going to make? What are your rewards going to look like? Now, as I've explained on this channel going back many years, as time goes on, reward percentages go down. This happens for two reasons. One, because the mechanism of inflation has to reduce, but also because you would imagine that through time, the price of the coin goes higher. Therefore, if you were, let's say, making 10% a few years ago, and the coin was 10 cents. Now, if you're making, let's say, 5%, but the coin is $2, you're technically still making more, even though the percentage went down. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, Cardano rewards on the blockchain for producing blocks has significantly declined. Let's be clear, since the last cycle we were in the 4 and 5% range for rewards, and now Cardano is sitting at around the 2.5% range. That means average, you're going to be making about 2.5% in rewards if you stake your coins. So if you stake $100,000 worth of ADA, you're going to get about $2,000 per year, $2,500 per year. Now, obviously, if the price of the asset goes up, the number of coins that you're getting are going to be worth more money. But maybe the coin won't go up, or maybe the coin will go down. That's something to keep in mind. So again, Cardano has very straightforward staking. You just put your coins in a wallet, you stake to the wallet. You can remove your coins from that wallet at any time. You can sell your coins at any time. There's no lockup period. There's no locking mechanism. And this is very different from internet computer staking. So when we're talking about internet computer staking, this is called Neuron and neuron staking or neuron dissolving. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the specifics on this video because this is more of a comparison video, but if you look at my internet computer videos, we do go more in depth into this. But effectively, in the internet computer ecosystem, you stake your coins which create neurons, and your neurons or staked coins are locked in for a certain amount of time. Now, you decide what that time looks like. But effectively, here it is. So they have this staking sandbox, and this staking sandbox basically gives you the ability to tell this how much ICP you're going to stake. Let's say we're going to stake 1,000 ICP. And by the way, when I'm recording this video, the price is almost $5. So 1,000 ICP would basically be $5,000. So we're staking ICP, and then you can stake your maturity. How long do you want to stake your coins for? Do you want to stake it for, this is not even letting me press it. So it is only possible to stake a positive amount up to the current maturity. I don't know what that even means. Anyway, we'll just say we're going to stake this ICP. We're just going to stake the ICP, 1,000 ICP. The dissolve delay, this basically means how long you're going to lock your coins. You can lock them from 0 all the way up to 8 years. So let's say we'll just do 2 years. So that's basically around 730 days. So we're staking 1,000, I don't know why it says 1,100. We're staking 1,100 coins for basically 2 years. I think I said 730 days. Okay, yeah, it is 2 years. And then we're going to start dissolving. And what we're going to see on this chart is what the rewards will be over time. And we will see the voting power over time, because keep in mind, when you're staking your neurons, you also get voting power. The NNS, which is basically the operating system for Internet Computer, is stake-based governance. So the main factor for how much voting power a staker has is its stake. In addition, the voting power depends on the following factors: how long you're staking, how long you've been staked, how old the staking is for your coins, and then voting power adjustment due to inactivity. So they kind of, I guess, dock you if you're not active. And again, this is just a comparison video, so we're not going to go into all the details for this. But yeah, we start dissolving, and 1,000. Well, let's just put another 900 in there. So we got 2,000 coins staking for 2 years, and we're going to start dissolving. And we have to click start. Again, this is a sandbox, so keep that in mind. So what it shows you is your dissolve delay bonus, your staked maturity in how many days, and your annualized rewards over time. So as you see, the rewards drop over time, but effectively it's getting annualized. So you can see that you're making anywhere from 6 to 8% in the first few years of staking, right? And that's all we did. We just did 2 years of staking, and effectively you earn the lowest showing about 6.5%. So this averages out to about 7%. So in 2 years, you're going to get 7% a year. And your voting power over time, again, it diminishes basically very, very little until towards the end of your staking contract, I guess you could call it, when you lose all the voting power. So yeah, these are much bigger rewards than what we saw with Cardano. Again, Cardano's 2.5%, and just in a 2-year dissolve delay with Internet Computer, I'm getting about 7.5%, which is basically 3 times the reward that you're getting in Cardano. But again, remember, Cardano is non-locked. You can just remove your coins at any point. And in Internet Computer, you cannot remove your coins at any point. And in fact, look at this chart. This shows us that the total amount staked, I think every time I try to pull this up, you can't see it because of my the logos in this screen. So what you can see here is that, I gotta pull this all down. You can see here that the total amount of ICP that is locked for 8 years is 144 million. And this is a significant increase from just a few years ago when it was 106 million. So just in the last few years, the number of ICP that has been staked for 8 years has gone up by 50%. 50%. And 44% of the entire supply of Internet Computer is locked in staking as well. So again, very similar in terms of a large quantity. Although Cardano has more than 50% staked, Internet Computer has very close to 50% staked. A lot of this is locked for a much longer period of time. So there's pros and cons on both sides, right? Cardano is unlocked, but you get a smaller percentage. But it's also a top 10 crypto. Internet Computer, you're getting a larger percentage, but you have to lock it for a certain amount of time. And, it's not a top 10 crypto. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Then we also have to look at DeFi, which in my view, both Internet Computer and Cardano, they're not doing that well. But it's very important that we take this into context. And hopefully you guys are enjoying this content. If you are, make sure you guys are giving the video a free thumbs up right down below. So when I'm talking about taking this into context, Cardano, if we look at this, this is the DeFi Llama, and this is the chains and how they're ranked by total value locked. Now, if we look at Cardano, it has about $307 million or 300, whatever. I don't know why it just said 307 million. Now it says 259. But anyway, we have between $200 and $300 million locked in Cardano. Now, it's very important that we look at the amount of ADA because the ADA price fluctuates. So just because the number here may be low, that could also be because the price is lower. But if we see here, the ADA is actually decreasing. The number of ADA in DeFi is decreasing. Why is it decreasing? And it's been decreasing. You can see in January of last year, 2024, there was 624 million ADA locked in DeFi. You can see that number right here on the screen. So it went up to about 650 million. So we went from 650 million, and today we're at 470 million. So almost a 200 million ADA reduction. 200 million ADA is about 100 to 150 million dollars over the last few years has been removed from Cardano's DeFi. Why is that? This is a question I don't know the answer to. I don't know whether, like for instance, with the staking mechanism, when we see staking being removed from, or ADA being removed from staking, we can say, well, maybe it's going into DeFi, maybe it's going into smart contracts, maybe it's going into this or that. When it's being removed from DeFi and you have live stake dropping, it's usually a sign selling is going on. Now, whether it is or isn't, I don't know. I mean, we can look at the price of ADA and say, well, ADA, hasn't performed as Internet Computer has performed, right? Remember, Internet Computer has gone from $2.90 to $20 in the last couple of years. Obviously, it's come down, but that was almost a 10x, where Cardano went from 20 cents to basically $1.20, which is only a 5x. Now, I'm saying only a 5x, but that's still a pretty good number, right? But it's much different than what we're seeing with Internet Computer. From a price perspective, Internet Computer over the last few years has performed better. Now, when we look at Internet Computer DeFi, it's done a little bit differently because Internet Computer doesn't really lock up money per se. Because remember, it's not really a financial processing system. Internet Computer is more for compute. So when we look at the Internet Computer ecosystem, we have to think about canisters. This is what they call smart contracts. Smart contracts is effectively DeFi and other ecosystems. So when we're looking at canisters or smart contracts on Internet Computer, canisters are smart contracts that scale, interoperable compute units that bundle code and state designed for internet scale services. A dApp built on Internet Computer can be composed of one or more canisters or smart contracts. Some of the dApp's canisters may provide web interfaces that end users can access through their browsers. Canisters are building blocks of the Internet Computer. And so Internet Computer doesn't really use ICP coins to calculate how much their DeFi or smart contract ecosystem is being used. That's why if we look at DeFi Llama and we just type in Internet Computer, it's going to show us like nothing because, yeah, $27 million, like this is nothing. But again, that's because there's not really cross, and this is one of my criticisms also of Internet Computer, is that they don't have cross-chain bridges. I know they're going to, again, talk about chain fusion technology, where we're not going to talk about that on this video. We do have other videos about chain fusion or chain key cryptography and technology that ICP is using, but the interoperability is still an issue, right? There's no native stablecoins on Internet Computer, nor are there native stablecoins, I'm talking about Tether and USDC, on Cardano. And so when I'm looking at the developmental standpoint of the two, and by the way, the Internet Computer has 7.2, I think these are terabytes, of total canister state. And if we pull this up on the 1 year, you can see basically almost doubling from basically 3.9 terabytes last year to 7.2 this year. So basically almost double in 1 year, which means significant increase in smart contract usage on Internet Computer, which means that we're seeing on Cardano a reduction, and Internet Computer we're seeing an increase. Internet Computer is kind of doing much better there. And so as you see through all of these metrics that we're looking at, some things Internet Computer does better and some things Cardano does better. When we kind of put them all together, these two cryptos are kind of in very similar categories. When I'm talking about price movements and placement in the market, because they both have a platform that can do a lot for businesses and companies around the world, and individual users obviously as well. But it's really about the adoption of the technology and the usage of the technology. And while I don't necessarily think one is better than the other, like I said, I mean, our analysis that we just went through with all the data is a kind of neutral balance. We saw a lot that Cardano was good at, and we saw a lot that Internet Computer was good at. It doesn't mean the other one isn't good at it, it's just not as good. But it all comes back to the narrative and the category that these ecosystems are trying to target and capture the value from. When we're comparing Cardano and Internet Computer compared to these other major ecosystems, to me, it would appear that Cardano, while it does have technology and a community and some users, what I struggle with is they haven't really chosen their place in the market. And so this is what I've been talking about for a while on the channel is they end up chasing the narratives, right? Think about ASI cryptocurrency last year, right? We had Fetch AI, Ocean Protocol, and Singularity Net said they were going to merge and create artificial superintelligence, the best crypto blockchain out there. We're a year since those three cryptocurrencies merged, and nothing has been created, nothing has been released, nothing has been really updated for the community on what these ecosystems are doing. And meanwhile, when we look at Internet Computer and what they're doing from an AI perspective, again, go to my videos on, just type in Internet Computer AI Cryptoviser or ICP AI Cryptoviser, you will see all my videos on it. And basically, we go through the fact that Internet Computer is already running AI on the platform, and it's doing what no other ecosystem can do. And they're trying to target this market of compute, high power compute, high performance compute, and AI compute all in one and put it on chain. And they're doing this. It's already on chain. And so as the AI ecosystem and narrative continue to grow from a market perspective and from a growth perspective, they're going to be looking for these other alternatives to centralized processors and backups and all of this. And Internet Computer is positioning themselves to be the chain for that. Now, whether they're going to achieve it or not, that's a whole different story. But this is what they're going for. And in my view, that's way more exciting than chasing the narratives. So I'm not saying that Cardano is not going to do good. I'm not saying Internet Computer is going to do good. But from an investment perspective, it just seems there's more opportunity in the number 35 cryptocurrency than there is in the number 10 cryptocurrency. Because while, there's a lot of rumors about Cardano potentially creating a partnership with Ripple or with integrating Ripple's stable coin, what if they don't do that? Then the whole narrative they've been chasing for the last few months is just wasted. And the time is wasted. And the development potential is wasted. This is why years ago I said Cardano needs USDC, native on the chain. And the Cardano ecosystem and developers, they fought that hard. And that's when I was like, yeah, this is not the coin for me. And Internet Computer, by the way, does not have native USDC integration either, or Tether integration. This is something that I've been very critical of as well. And while the Dfinity Foundation and Dominic say that chain key cryptography resolves that issue, and you don't need native USDC when you have chain key USDC, it's not the same. Chain key USDC is not USDC, right? This is a derivative of USDC. And while it may be okay to have alongside, having native USDC is critical in opening up the pathway for more liquidity, more usage of the network, more interoperability, more integration with the traditional financial space. But for some reason, ICP and Cardano do not want USDC on the chain, / they may not be able to get USDC on the chain, right? Circle may have told them already, not happening. We're not doing it. We're not wasting our time. We're not wasting our money. We're not wasting our resources. Or maybe there's another reason. I don't know. We just have to kind of understand that while this is okay, and Cardano may have some bridges that are not really widely used and not accessible on other chains, It's not where the DeFi ecosystem is. It's not where the rest of the blockchain is. And it's going to be very hard as we move forward to compete when you have new blockchains. Think about Sui blockchain. Just came out. Everybody loves it. Everybody talks about it. I'm talking about the billionaires and millionaires, right? Who do you think is funding the ecosystem? And the thing is, because Sui is a new chain, they launch with all the technologies that all these other ecosystems, including Cardano and Internet Computer, are trying to achieve. Sui just launches with the technology. This is the same thing that happened last cycle with Solana. Solana launched faster transaction throughput. Solana launched with better technologies that Ethereum was trying to achieve, right? It launched with staking. Ethereum didn't even have staking at the point that Solana launched with staking already. So any of these newer chains that are popping up, they are able to leapfrog all of these other ecosystems in terms of technology. And so the ecosystems that don't stay on top of the technology and just chase the narrative and the technology, it's going to be very, very hard moving forward with more and more new chains that can do way more than the legacy chains. And this is going to continue. This is the same thing with companies, right? It's very hard for Apple to continue to say that they're the top of the, the technology pyramid when all they do is release iPhones and, these little changes to their phone that you can like other users of other platforms say that they've had those technologies for years, and Apple users are like, wow, you see this new technology? And it's like, a yellow iPhone is not a new technology. Yeah, a few years ago, Apple launched a yellow iPhone as their yearly release. That was their debut, a yellow iPhone. Nothing was different about the phone itself, just the yellow. It's like, this is a $3 trillion company? Come on. Anyway, you guys kind of get the point. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this conversation. Hopefully you guys learned something. Let me know which coin you think is the better investment down below. Is it Cardano or is it Internet Computer? Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you when I see you. Invest responsibly in crypto on.